Hi guys, I'm Andy and welcome back to Backpacking UK. If hiking, backpacking and wild camping are your thing, please hit that subscribe button because that's what this channel's all about. Right, today I've got a very special tent to show you. I'm going to be pitching up my Hilleberg Soulo. It's not an ordinary tent, this one. This is made by Hilleberg, the tent maker. Probably the most famous tent maker in the world, been around for about 50 years. They actually own and manufacture the tents themselves in their factory in Estonia. Believe it or not, actually takes one of their staff a year to be fully trained to make these tents. So these are, in tent terms, a huge amount of money. However, an enormous amount of time and effort goes into making one of these tents, and the designs are just second to none. Now this Hilleberg Soulo is a one-person tent, one-man tent. It's an expedition grade tent. Drawback is it weighs a lot. It's about 2.4 kilos, which is a huge amount for a one-person tent. However, it's shown time and time again that this tent can withstand the harshest conditions in the harshest of environments. It really is bomb-proof, this tent. This Hilleberg Soulo tent uses a Kerlon 1200 fabric. It's actually tested to 12 kilos, so it really is tear resistant. It comes with 9mm DAC poles, which are super light but super strong. It comes with 12 V-shaped DAC pegs. The floor is a 70D fabric, and the inner and the fly outer are both 30D nylon fabric too. So it's a really strong tent. Not only that, but this tent is siliconed 3 times on both sides of the fly outer, so it's seriously water resistant. This is a freestanding dome tent. It uses 3 poles, and that's where it gets its strength from. I'll show you all the features. There's absolutely loads packed into this tent. It's just a stunning tent. So let's get it pitched. So this is what you get. You get the tent bag, which is like an oversized bag. So it's really easy to put the whole tent, the pegs and the poles in here. The actual tent itself, you can pitch it with the ground sheet, the inner, the outer and part of the roof all together, which is absolutely brilliant. These are the tent poles, DAC, Featherlight, NSL, greens. These are the DAC pegs, got a really nice V shape to them, super light but super strong too. So let's start pitching this tent. Now the first thing I'm going to do is just install the red middle pole. So I'm just threading the red middle pole into here, right down to the very bottom. Okay, just thread the other end in. Note that the rods are pre-bent. Now we'll fit the 2 other cross poles. So this is 2 poles done. Okay, so that's 3 poles done. What I'd do on a windy day, I'd usually put 1, 2, maybe even 3 pegs in the ground first, just to secure this, but there's no wind today, so there's no need to do that. So what I'm going to do now is go round and clip up all the clips on the poles till I get to the top. Now I've had to fit loads and loads of these clips from the fly outer to the tent poles. Now some people don't like that, but I don't get it. I don't get it why they don't like it. I think it's a great thing. You know, if you've got really high winds, this tent will not flap about because it's got so many clips to the poles. So now to finish it off, I just put the roof on. So this is the tent pitched. Now let's peg it out. So this is the Hilleberg Soulo one-man tent pitched. Let's take you round and let's have a look. As you can see, it's really nice and taut. This end coming up, this is the end you would put into the wind because it's the most aerodynamic, it's the most narrow. But it's basically 6 pegs that go into the fly and then a further 6 pegs that peg out these quite long guy lines, and there's 2 per corner. So it will really stand up to some seriously windy conditions. These guy lines actually wrap around the poles from the fly to the pole right down to the bottom. Where the tent poles finish, they're in this sort of reinforced, really thick, rubbery plastic, so they certainly won't tear out of that, even if it's really windy. The tent top is fully adjustable, so you can get it really nice and taut. These ropes are 3mm in diameter. I think the standard's 2, so they're nice thick ropes. Again, as you'd expect from a 4-season tent, an expedition tent, you just need everything to be properly engineered to withstand the harshest of conditions. So let's take a look inside. So this is the vestibule area. As you can see, it's plenty big enough to do your cooking, and it's plenty big enough to put your backpack in there. So let's open the tent inner doors. One up, and the other zips go all the way both sides. As you can see, this is a proper 4-season tent where the fly goes right to the floor, right to the very bottom there. The only disadvantage with that, and it being a 1-person tent, is condensation. But to be honest, you're never going to get away from that in a 1-person 4-season tent. Now, I actually paid extra for the official Hilleberg Soulo footprint. But what I love about this, 1, it obviously protects your tent, but 2, you can leave this fixed to the main tent. So if it's pouring with rain, if it's really, really windy, everything's attached. It just makes life so much easier in those harsh conditions. Not only does it protect your tent, but it actually stops either your cooking or your backpack or any of your belongings getting wet. It's really nice and thick. Okay, so let's have a look in the tent. It's actually a really big 1-man tent, this is. But basically you've got some little fixings around the outside, so you can actually put a bit of rope or a bit of string up there and help dry your belongings. It's got a couple of pockets in the corner there. As you can see, it's a sort of a special shape really, so you can put your sleeping mat across and you've still got quite a bit of space at the side. And it's also got a vent up here which is attached to the door where you can just zip it off, which is really helpful for ventilation. I should also say the door has got another zip, so you can change it from a solid door to a mesh door. So this Hilleberg Soulo is quite a big 1-man tent. It's 95 centimetres high. I'm 5'8", and there's a fair amount of room above my head. To be honest, I would say you're talking, I wouldn't want to be more than 6 foot in here, I've got to be honest. It's 220 centimetres long, which is quite big, to be honest. I'm only 172 centimetres. My mat's 185 centimetres. So there's a lot of length there. This is 105 centimetres wide at its widest point, with a further 55 centimetres vestibule at its widest point. So it's a really nice big one-person tent. For me, it was just the perfect tent. Now, why did I buy this? It's a lot of money. It's a huge amount of money for a tent. But if you want to camp in the mountains, in windy conditions, wet conditions, snowy conditions, real harsh environments, this is the tent for you. You cannot beat it. If you're the sort of recreational camper, which does like a little bit of wild camping, maybe in some woods, maybe at some lower levels, maybe, you know, on the nicer days, sunny days, you really don't need a tent like this. It's an investment. They really don't lose their money. I mean, at the moment, you cannot buy a Hilleberg Soulo until 2022 anywhere. And why is that? It's because they've got the reputation that they've built up over 50 years for being the best tent maker in the world. But hopefully you got something out of this video. But if I haven't before, check out my other videos. I've got tons out there, loads of gear reviews, and hope to see you on the trail soon. Cheers.